That's how Georgia's winning. That's how they are there every year. That's why they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
We're not practicing to beat somebody. We're practicing to beat everybody.
My expectation is we go out and dominate and create a nightmare and make people never want to play you again.
If you are a fan of another team and your coach is not out there doing everything that Kirby Smart is doing right now, you are already losing. You feel however you want to feel about that.
Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide for 4 quarters. They got to see us in our house for 4 quarters. They got to look us in the eye for 4. This is about us and our family and our house. This is about us. This is our mentality. We ain't backing down. We ain't running. Set a tone, send a message. This is our house. Physical toughness wins in football now. And if you in this room, you got it. And if you come in here, you better believe in it. Because this physical toughness, it's what makes the difference. Elite focus. That's all I'm doing to the guy across from me. I'm fixing to whip his ass. Not in my box, not today. It's about us. It's about our family. We attack. You take that helmet and you strike them. And you strike them and you strike them. That's how you get respect. Physically, I will break them.
G-Day revealed the scary truth about the 2026 Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart has done it again. We're going to talk about all that and a lot more on this edition of the How About That Dogs Cast. When I say Kirby Smart did it again, I could mean a lot of things because he's been crazy successful since arriving in Athens as the head coach. But specifically, tonight, I want to take a deep dive. I want to look at the processes, the system, the superstructure that allow Kirby Smart to do what he's doing in Athens, that allow him to keep this program in the top tier of college football season after season after season. And now that we are in year 10 or beyond year 10, headed into year 11, the track record is clear. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. No, there's a plan in place, and it all comes from Kirby Smart. So tonight, we're going to walk through the thing that was revealed on G-Day, which is that in today's college football, when you look across the country, everybody just wants to throw their hands up and say, well, it's the model that you choose to go with. You can either hit the portal hard, turn your roster over every year, rebuild your team, or you can build through high school recruiting. You can believe in development. You can be smart with how you choose to invest the funds you have available to you when it comes to your roster. You can reward production, or you can take flyers on the next big thing. It's clear which model Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs pursue. And when I say he's done it again, specifically, I'm talking about he has taken a team that everybody pointed to and said, well, they have to fall off. It has to be coming. It has to happen this year. 6 out of 7 wide receivers go away. That's a problem. Georgia's in trouble. They couldn't rush the passer last year. And now the kid they brought in from the portal to solve that problem, he's out for the season. That's an issue. Yet Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs showed us on Saturday at G-Day, it's just par for the course, and we just keep rolling, and you keep the main thing, and worry about what is important right now. And we saw that from full display at G-Day. Let's look at it position by position. Kirby Smart, if you're a Georgia Bulldogs fan, you know he believes in running the football and stopping the run. So if you look at this running back room, you think, okay, Georgia's in pretty good shape. But it's more than the fact that there are bodies there. It's the fact that when we showed up to G-Day, Nate Frazier had exactly 1 carry. And then he was out for the rest of the day, and you could hear it in the crowd. Oh, Nate's hurt. What's he doing? Why isn't he in the game? Turns out Nate's fine. He's going to be fine. But it gave those young guys, the guys that not everybody knows, a chance to show a little bit more what they can do. Now, we all know Chauncey Bowens. That's not exactly who I'm talking about, but how did Chauncey get to Athens? He was recruited to Athens, and he has been convinced to stick around in Athens, and he has been rewarded with carries and responsibilities, and that's only going to grow here in 2026. A guy that's homegrown in the Georgia system, that when Nate Frazier goes down, no problem. So when Chauncey decided to come back earlier this year, it's always big news. Everybody's announcing, I'm coming back. You're like, that's a big deal, because now Georgia has real depth in that room. But we didn't even know what we were talking about, really. because we hadn't seen everybody that we were still unclear about. I'm talking about like Dwight Phillips. Dwight showed up on G-Day and flashed all over the field. He's not just a gadget guy. He showed us that he's willing to stick his nose in the fan, run the football between the tackles, and can be an every down back. If we see him utilized more in the passing game, he might become a little bit more than just, a 15 touch game. He might be a guy who demands that he sees the football more. So your top three are in good shape. But, oh, by the way, Kirby building his roster in a way that not everybody else does across the country. Remember, the Dogs only took 9 players out of the portal this year. One of those was Dante Dowdell. And boy, did he flash at G-Day. This player in particular showed vision, showed acceleration, burst, showed athleticism, had explosive runs. Chauncey had explosive runs. Dwight Phillips had explosive runs. Explosive runs came from a tight end position. Explosive runs came from the wide receiver position. If you're looking at Georgia and you're thinking, man, can they run the football? Seems like they can. Can they be explosive in the run game? Seems like they can. Kirby Smart has done it again, and he's done it the Georgia way, which is the model where you recruit great players. You develop them. You get them in your culture, and you make them want to stay and be a part of something special. There were a lot of players that didn't get to play for Georgia on Saturday. And that's how we know that depth is the biggest takeaway from this whole thing. I said it that night. In the days since, I have seen other people talk about depth. Yeah, they're right. That's what I told you. Saturday night. The leading edge of this team, the tip of the spear that's going to make them different in 2026 than everybody else, is the fact that in this new climate of college football where it's hard to keep a roster, the Dogs are seriously deep. Everything's relative, but we are far from done. If you take a look at the linebacker position, C.J. Allen's probably going to be a first-round draft pick. Raylan Wilson said, you know what, I'm coming back to Athens because I got more work to do, stuff I want to prove. And then he gets hurt and can't play in the G-Day game. Man, oh man, how's that depth looking in that middle linebacker room? Pretty good. Because all they did was plug in another 5-star who's been waiting his turn, who's been working while he waits. And now, man, he admitted after G-Day, it felt good to have that green dot on and be the guy directing traffic out there in Justin Williams. You just keep talent like that rolling into a position that Georgia has become known for in recent years with Butkus Award winners. That doesn't happen everywhere else. That happens at a place like Georgia because of the way Kirby Smart runs this program, because of what they sell. It's not about who's going to make the most money up front. It's about not even your first NFL contract. It's about that second one. And we saw in this offseason, dog after dog after dog just rack it up. The millions on millions of dollars. And Justin Williams understands that he's physically gifted enough. He could have played anywhere. But he wants the experience and the leadership and the culture and the development that he can get at Georgia. And that's why he's here. But he's not alone. Chris Cole's there. You need another middle linebacker? Here he is. They was recruited to Georgia to be a middle linebacker and put on the Jalen Walker path. And we see it playing out just fine. Pass rush specialist to help Georgia win. Move around. Play middle linebacker. Play edge. Do a little bit of everything. Help the team do what they need to do to get those W's. We're not even talking about Zayden Walker, who also didn't get to play at G-Day. He's a middle linebacker. Again, it's an embarrassment of riches for Georgia. And it's not just at this position or that position. No, remember we talked about one of the biggest question marks for Georgia this year was at the wide receiver room. Kirby Smart said, yeah, that's right. We lost 6 of our top 7 pass catchers last year. So I'm going to rebuild this roster the way I know how. And that's to recruit the best players I can, get them in here, develop them, and let them help me. And what did we see at G-Day? Young receiver after young receiver showing out. Craig Dandridge, freshman, wide receiver, had an explosive catch in the game. Everybody knows about Talon Taylor, the real deal 5-star, according to Dylan Bell. These guys are showing up and getting ready to have a huge 2026. They showed us nothing at G-Day that would make me believe anything else. We're not even looking at C.J. Wiley, Landon Rolden. Plus, London Humphreys is still in the room. Sokovia White-Hilton didn't even get to play. But we didn't just say wide receivers. We said pass catchers. And there's another one, a true freshman, who actually was a tight end in high school, didn't even line up at tight end in the traditional sense at G-Day. He spent all his time out in the slot. At 6'6", 230 pounds. That's unfair. That shouldn't be a thing that happens. But when you look at Georgia's tight end room, it's not just one of this young man. This is Caden Prothro. It's not just one of him. No, there are 6 4- and 5-star tight ends stacked up in that room waiting their turn. Never mind the fact that Lawson Lucky is your tight end 1. He's the guy coming back, right? He's the guy that everybody knows. There's Ethan Barbour out there who got hurt last year, who's doing big things. He's going to have a huge impact this year. But then you throw Caden Prothro in here, call him a tight end, stick him at slot. Who's going to match up with that cat? Not many people. There aren't many. And oh, by the way, the guy who everybody talked about all spring and then just kind of exploded on G-Day, Jaden Riddell, athletic anomaly. They handed him this ball in the end around in the moment before the play was over. I turned him to my wife and I said, look at that. Who does that look like? Brock Bowers. Not calling him Brock Bowers. I'm just telling you, athletic man out there on the wing running like that with speed that can tote the rock like a running back. That shouldn't be fair. Yet Georgia is just crazy deep in the tight end room. And we didn't even get through Colton Heinrich, also in that room. How about Braden Fogel had a nice 40-something yard explosive play on the day, as did Heinrich. This is a position that Georgia must maximize in 2026. They are too talented for it to go any other way. Prothro has to see the football field. Lucky, Barbour, both going to play. Jaden Riddell, absolutely going to be involved. We didn't even talk about Elias Williams, the alien amongst them. You say there's not enough footballs to go around, but you can certainly get them out there and rotate them through in 13 personnel. You can certainly flex them out if you need to and play them in the slot. Mismatches everywhere you look. They have to be utilized in 2026. But this isn't it. It's not just one or two positions. It's everywhere. That is the difference. That is why Georgia is different in 2026 than most everybody else across the country. The guy they brought in to solve the other big offseason problem of getting after the quarterback, Amaris Williams, is gone for the year. Torn ACL. I hate that for that young man. I was really looking forward to seeing what he could do. I lauded him as a difference maker for Georgia this year, and he would have been, but he's not available. Can't quit. Can't take your ball and go home. Georgia's just going to lean on what they always lean on, recruiting, and turn to the guys who are already there and getting the job done, who, oh, by the way, had really good G-Days. Chase Linton, he's put on some weight. He's taken on that run with authority, and he won more than once in pass rush situations on Saturday. That's a name that I'm telling you, he's going to help Georgia. You better get to know it. And Isaiah Gibson, we saw him do some really nice things on Saturday too. Another Georgia kid, another 5-star guy, another kid brought into the system, knew he wanted to be at Georgia and has put in the work to be ready. It is his time to go. Again, we're not even talking about the dudes like Gabe Harris and Quintavious Johnson, who were also recruited to Georgia. They're your starters. Gabe didn't get to play because of injury. Q had a really good day. But then you're rolling in these other guys to have that support, right? Because it's a team game. But then, speaking of the young guys that you're bringing in, what about Kamari Brooks? True freshman. Credited with at least 2 sacks. Multiple wins on the day. Crazy good effort. He's a guy that sooner rather than later is going to end up as a 10 to 15 snap guy for Georgia here in 2026. I don't have any doubt about that. He is showing you he has to be played. And at a position of need, they're going to play him. Look out at the end of the year. That's a terror walking right there for the Georgia Bulldogs. I want to invite you to come over and take a look at How About Them Things Plus. If you get the opportunity, lots of great content over there, new stuff being added every day, including something I'm going to be adding tonight after the show. So stick around in overtime for that. How About Them Dogs Plus? Everything you would want in Georgia football content, we've got it for you. I hope you'll check it out. Again, it's not just the flashy positions that we're talking about, not just the pass catchers, not just that sack guy off the edge. The offensive line, and y'all have heard me talk about it in recent weeks, has been rebuilt over the last 3 recruiting cycles or so, to the point where they are now able to roll 15 at least through during practice to keep things going. You look back to last year, who had a huge hand in Georgia's SEC championship season? True freshman, Juan Gaston, Dontrell Glover. And we've talked all spring about who the next guys are going to be. Would they show up? I told you before G-Day, watch for these guys. Who was it? Zakai Helton. Didn't come off the field. Took reps with the ones all day. I don't know that today he has unseated anyone as a starting guard going into the 2026 season, but I can guarantee you he's in the top 2 at both positions, and he is going to play a lot for Georgia here in 2026. So if you don't know his name, I'll say it for you again. Zakai Helton is going to be a monster for the Georgia Bulldogs alongside Juan Gaston and Dontrell Glover. Not to mention the fact that you are now getting Drew Bobo back, or you expect to, at center. You've got Ernest Green out at tackle. The combinations, the depth pieces, the ability to rotate fresh bodies in, this offensive line has gone from something that people were pointing to in the offseason as a potential soft spot for Georgia. They were going to be okay, but maybe not everything they needed them to be. I think they're going to be just fine. Another homegrown Georgia kid recruited to Georgia, and now he is going to do serious work for the Dogs in the trenches. Just watch. You'll see it coming. And Akene Boko. Now, he's not going to unseat Juan Gaston or maybe Ernest Green at the tackle position. I wouldn't imagine. But I expect him to play. He's too talented not to. He's going to be another depth rotational piece for the Dogs this year that other teams just don't have. Imagine he's on a guideline, a flight path, kind of like a Morris Mims when he was at Georgia. People used to say, who is that dude? And why isn't he playing? Well, because you had NFL first-round draft picks playing in front of him, and he had to wait his turn. And then when he got his turn, all he did was turn into another NFL first-round draft pick. That is the future for this young man. That's where I'm putting my money. I'm pushing my chips to the center of the table. I think he is going to play. He is going to be a dominant force for Georgia at that position. And when he gets his turn, he will eventually become the next first-round draft pick at offensive tackle for Georgia. This is all because of the pipeline that Kirby Smart has set up in the state and across the country. He'll go anywhere he needs to go to get the best players, but he gets the right players, and they stay. Again, Georgia's attrition rate, the turnover, the churn is very, very low relative to everybody else across the college football. And that's how you end up with a roster that is looking like Georgia's roster is looking here in April as we get ready to move into the season. Depth across the board. And even if you don't have the same level of depth at every position, you have talented players and guys that are in the come up. They're training to get better. They're working towards that every day to, as Kirby Smart likes to say, play winning football for Georgia. It's all part of the process. And everybody understands it. And that's why Georgia is different. A guy who saw it play out firsthand. Look at that defensive secondary. On Saturday at G-Day, you didn't have Ellis Robinson. Injury. You didn't have DeMello Jones, injury. We didn't know who the number 2 safety was going to be. They were still battling out at the star position. You could not have seen that and said, I expect Georgia to be dominant. Were they dominant in pass coverage on Saturday? No, but they had flashes. And that's because of the depth that has been built in that room. Braylon Conley did come in from the transfer portal. Those acute choices, the hole fillers that Kirby Smart likes to use in his roster management, and he was everywhere. He made play after play. And then there were other guys, Khalil Barnes, right? Working at star, working at safety, another transfer portal piece tactically deployed. Then you have true freshmen like Tyreek Boogie Green, who just won't let you keep him off the football field. He had multiple interceptions over the course of spring, had another one in the G-Day game. And when KJ Bolden looked at Tyreek, he goes, yeah, I know, Boo. I know him. He's a player. He reminds me of me. All KJ did was go out there and start as a true freshman. Now, I'm not telling you that Boogie's going to start, but it's hard to see how they keep him off the field right now. And the fact that they are cross-training him right now at corner and safety speaks to his intelligence, his understanding of the game, and his physical capability to be able to do either role. He just finds the football, or the football finds him, and he loves the game. He's just a ball player. That's what I mean when I said he's getting the right dudes, not just the next dude. Kirby Smart's unlocked it. Whatever the secret is in college football, it seems he's figured it out, because year after year, people look at Georgia and go, this has to be the year. This has to be the year they slide back to 9 wins. Heaven forbid they slip to 8. But now's the time. You can't keep losing first-round draft picks after first-round draft picks and stay where they are. Yet Kirby Smart has done exactly that. Don't argue with what's immediately in front of your face. No one's hiding it. There is no secret. They just have players that want to be at Georgia, that want to grow and develop. And this coaching staff, through its continuity and the addition of pieces as needed, is positioning these young men to continue to improve and be ready to answer the bell for Georgia when the season rolls around. There's no secret. It's like waves crashing on the shore. Georgia is just relentless in their pursuit and of this process. Recruit the best players possible. Reward the ones that are growing and developing and performing for you. Limit your churn. Limit coaching turnover. Do it the right way and outwork everybody. I mean, by the way, they're all super talented, so that's a given. That's how Georgia's winning. That's how they are there every year. That's why they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Go Dogs!
So how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told them.